Hey there, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of,
Learning by faith.
I only say for you
So
to say it because I
cheesy.
can never remember what it's called. But I think this episode is one that I have been anticipating and thinking a lot about because it's the episode that I wondered when we first started this whole homeschooling journey,
Yeah.
what would we say in a year? It was almost a year ago
Isn't that
in
crazy?
July that we made that decision. And so this is
This is our
what
year wrap up.
this
we
is what
thought
everyone
of the year.
this is what everyone's going to want to watch after. So we're going to just talk about what we learned this last year. It's as comprehensive as we can get it, and we hope to be succinct and concise, right?
Yes, because we're doing this in the middle of the day when kids are all
they're all playing
with friends, and we might get called away.
We hope that we're not getting interrupted by anybody. So I want to start off with just telling I was with one of my employees recently, and I was talking to them about child rearing and raising kids, and they're almost done with raising their kids, and he said something that I thought that was valuable that I wanted to share. He pretty much just said, Stu, you've got 18 years to instill your values in your children, and the time goes so quickly. And I really appreciated that from somebody who was pretty much finished raising their kids, and we're early mid raising kids right now.
Because sometimes it does seem like it's dragging on. When you have young kids, you're like, this is our life forever, and I just want to break.
Yeah,
but it does go by fast.
Yeah,
it's a good reminder.
So that was a good reminder. So I think I just wanted to start off with the something like that was positive, that reminds us why we're doing this, and just to circle back and harken back to the naming of the channel, that we've gone this whole year learning by faith, and we've learned a lot, and you'll see here how we've learned through the books too. So maybe let's just start off there, Lindsay. What did we learn? What would you say that we've learned this last year?
Well, okay, one thing, these are in no particular order either.
Yeah, these are random.
We're just like, blah, get it up. Was I can't do everything at once. I can't help every kid at once. A lot of the times I was kind of just bouncing around kid to kid, like, oh, you have a question? Oh, but I'm in the middle of a lesson with this kid, and okay, but I'll answer your question. And then, oh, you need to be logged into the computer. Okay, let me go log you in. Oh, but I'm still doing a lesson. Ooh, no, next year I need to protect like lesson time. Nope, don't bug me, do something else. I am available for questions at this time. That was one thing I learned. Another thing we learned,
I can't be as involved. I can't be as involved. And I usually wasn't
doing it most of the time. And so it is hard. It's good you're involved, but a little hard if we're not meeting the expectations because you're not there to execute it.
Let me tell you from my side. So, certainly when I am at home, when I work from home, which I don't work from home that often, because I like to go into the office most days. But when I am home, I have felt this pressure to say, oh, I want to help. I'll help her early in the morning before I get started for work. And then maybe at lunchtime, I'll help her with somebody else. And then when I'm done at the end of the day, see if there's anybody else that needs help. There always was something to do, it seemed like. But I oftentimes complicated things and made things worse. So this is a good therapeutic session right now for both of us. I think it took us until like March to realize this, where I was able to step away, and things I thought were better.
Yeah, the end of the year.
They weren't perfect, but they were better.
The year seems better. Yeah. Another thing, like obviously the older kids do take more time doing their school. It has been a little hard to get them to be completely independent. Our current, well, now 8th grader, but our 7th grader this last year was almost there. She needed help with a few things, but for the most part, she can work independently. And so we're hoping to see more of that next year. And then we're going to have a 6th grader next year. So hoping that they can be a little more independent to free up me a little bit, because I felt very needed by all 4 kids, and like
And
all different directions.
that's a homeschooling skill too, that takes a second to figure out.
Texting a kid back. Keep
Yeah,
talking.
that's a skill that it takes. It takes a lot to learn how to do that.
All right,
So
you can play till 6.
so I'll go on to the
Talk
next
right now.
one for her. Go to the next
Okay. Let's see. Another thing we learned is it took a while to find friends. We kind of thought that we would like find a co-op and all these people would come, or we'd make our co-op and have so many people come and we'd find all these friends. And it did take a while, like a good chunk of the year.
Good chunk of the
Most of the year, maybe, until I was like, oh, okay, I'm feeling like we're friends and the kids have friends that they're playing with here, and it feels better. And it was a lot harder to find older kids. There's not as many junior high and high school homeschoolers. We did find a good group that has junior high and high schoolers that we're still kind of getting to know, I would say. So, but I'm excited about that.
There's definitely more on the younger side. So if you're starting homeschooling,
so many.
You can find tons of elementary. Yeah. I just think that the curriculum can get harder for most people beyond 6th grade. And so I don't know. I think most people just send them back to public school. But I'm not going to give up.
Maybe. Yeah.
We're not going to give up.
We're still doing it. So let's go through some of the curriculum we did this year. How did we feel about the good and the beautiful? It was great. It was good and beautiful, and it was rigorous. Math was so much harder or more rigorous in the upper grades than I thought it would be. I thought they could get a lesson done in 45 minutes to an hour. And then we got to this really not great spot in our year where math was taking like 2 hours because we said they had to complete a lesson. And that was not a good time. It took them a long time to complete the lessons. And
I would just say that if you're coming out of the public school and you use the Good and the Beautiful's math, we've said this in a prior video, it's a little bit more advanced, even though, so if you're looking at a 3rd grader's book, you'll look at the 3rd grade public school curriculum and they don't match up. It's a little bit more advanced. And so you'll want to make sure that any math curriculum they do, and certainly Good and the Beautiful does it as well, there is an assessment you take beforehand to make sure that you're in the right level you're supposed to be in, where your student is at. And it's possible they could start in a year. One of our kids actually started in a level below what they would have been. Yeah, so they were in their grade level, what they would have been in public school. They actually went down a level.
But it was still on level with public school.
Yeah.
So yeah, and with the spiral method of the Good and the Beautiful math, so they keep circling around things. I'm hopeful for next year because it's like, oh, we've already seen this. Oh, we've already seen this, but it's just getting a little harder.
It's building on it and it's getting harder. We've already looked at the next year's math books and we can see that. So that's going to be good.
And math was one of the areas we were concerned about at first because, well, we were concerned about losing math skills, mostly him. But and so we did IXL as well, where they would have to complete a code or two that went along with their math lesson.
Sometimes 4
after the math lesson. And so we were kind of doubling up on math.
We were doubling up. And I just barely relented on this like 2 weeks ago. So this has taken us we went through this. Fortunately for her, she's still stuck with me on it. But even I was just like, oh, like
it was not without
their math curriculum is so far above what public school is doing that we don't need to really double up on that. We don't need to double up on it, but we did. And anyway.
Yeah, I was not so much a fan on the IXL codes after the math lesson. And we did get to the point in the end of the year, towards the end of the year, where it was like, just do what you can, or just do these problems. I would mark certain problems for them to do. And this is only with level 5 and above. I feel like the younger levels, they still did it in a quick amount of time, and they loved it. It was really fun math. So yeah, we're dropping IXL next year, right?
Well, we'll talk about it.
Okay, Type C. We did Type C for typing. That was great. They liked it. We usually just had them do one quick lesson a day. It took like 10, 15 minutes. And then sometimes they would play typing games. We did that more often than not. We didn't do Type C every day, but that's not an everyday thing. The books that the kids read with their curriculum, the ones that went with language arts in The Good and the Beautiful, were so great. Really high quality literature.
High standard.
And the kids loved all the books they read, besides one. There was one book in the level 5 that our son did not care for. He said, this is boring, but he still read it. And I actually didn't read any of the books that he read, either. But I should. But I knew they were good.
But they would tell us about.
Tell me about it. What's it about?
Yeah, so we could hear what they read, and they would tell us about it. And I'm like, oh, that's a really good story.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It was, they were their books that they have written, that the company has written, are really great. Yeah. The handwriting course from The Good and the Beautiful, we also liked. Yeah. We got to a point where the kids would sit down and do a handwriting page while I was like reading one of our read alouds. And yeah, we like the handwriting, the positive messages, the scriptures. I probably need to be better at like making sure they're writing correctly, because
pencil grip
towards the end of the year, gosh. I was like, wait, that's not, yeah. Let's see, read alouds.
So tell people what a read aloud is in case somebody doesn't know what it is.
If it's just reading to your kid. I don't know why
family group reading.
Homeschoolers have to call it read alouds. It makes it sound very formal, but it's just reading to your kids. And
it's not just reading to your kids. I just always have to talk about this when I tell coworkers about it. It's mom on the couch and all the kids just like draping on her or laying on the ground.
Usually they don't touch me.
I mean, well, it's not always like that, but that's essentially the view that every time I've walked upstairs and you're doing it.
Yeah, we're just
they're having that bonding time.
Comfy on the couch, or they're playing with Legos while I read, or they're doing handwriting while I read. Yep. But we started listing our read alouds out, and I was so excited because I did not know we read this many books. So it was amazing. Okay, so these are also like, take some notes. These are great read alouds for all kids. We read, the first series we read was the Green Ember series. There's 3 books in that series. It was a great like good versus evil book. However, I will say about this book, it got a little intense. Yeah, the last book, there was a lot of like war and fighting, and it never got gory or anything. And they're rabbits, but like, I'm getting used to rabbits.
I had to remind myself it was rabbits all the time.
I was like, whoa, that's kind of intense. I don't know if I want my 5 and 7-year-old listening to it. Anyway, we read 3 of the Chronicles of Narnia series. Yeah, you read those. We read those so like great. At night.
So great.
We also listened to the Penderwicks. These are the cutest books. We've read the first 3, waiting for the 4th to be available at the library. We read How to Train Your Dragon, like books 1 through 4 or 5, I think. Those are funny little books that we would listen to in the car because the guy has a Scottish accent. Really great. We read Emmy and the Incredible Shrinking Rat, and the book after that, and Charlotte's Web.
Gotta love Charlotte's Web.
You gotta read it. And we are currently halfway through Where the Red Fern Grows. So how many books is that? Go back to the sheet. Like 14? I don't know. I'm just counting that up in
14.
Yeah, it was awesome. So let's see. We already talked about that. Another thing we learned this year was to just stay off social media at the first and last of the year. It's hard. There's lots of picture posting, and it brings up feelings of being left out, and so
it's getting harder. I feel like people used to not to post too much at the end of the school year, but now everyone does like the side-by-side comparison photos of this is the first day of school picture, and here's the last day of school picture, and oftentimes it's them in front of the school and stuff like that. And so I think we're just learning now we had the experience the first of the year. We weren't expecting it to happen at the end of the year. And so now we've just decided we're going to avoid social media at the beginning and end of this school year.
Maybe some
so
people can.
you might see us go dark during those times on social media, but it's for our own sanity.
Yeah. Co-ops. Let's talk about co-ops. We started one, and it kind of took a while to get going. We still only have maybe 3 or 4 constant families that come. But it was fun to be able to get together for like Valentine's Day and Halloween. And then we had a fun end of year get together at the park. We just did like dessert at the park, and families came. And so husbands were there too. It was so fun to get to know everyone more. And
everyone was cool and normal, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and
it was fun.
You know, we've seen some odd ducks in the homeschooling community. There's not that many.
There's odd ducks everywhere though.
But yes, I would agree. But everyone was cool at this group, and so that was very fun.
Yeah. We're also in another kind of PE co-op that meets weekly now that the weather's nice, which has been so fun. Even through the summer, we're meeting with them. We go to parks and like, or just hang out at a creek and the kids play and like wade into the water. And, you know, the older kids will play like pickleball or card games, and super fun, making some good friends there.
Yeah. So we're very pro on the co-ops. And again, we never use the co-ops like some homeschoolers. They might use the co-ops for teaching a particular subject or something like that. Yeah. This year, we did not do any of that. We are teaching everything. Nor
the paid co-ops where it's like either a drop-off or teaching. It was more of just social
and activities.
Social yeah.
So we feel like we've got at least we can talk more about that later, but this year we just did everything ourselves, and then that was our social activities.
Yes. The maturation program or science for our older 2 kids, we haven't finished it. We kind of dropped off there in like March.
Yeah, it was when I went on choir tour, but I think we have like 2 lessons left.
Yeah.
So we've been kind of chipping away at that since the fall, and it's been good. And again, I'll just say what we've said in the prior video. That,
it was awesome.
It's really good to have those conversations with your kids so they can hear you talking about it. You can instill your values to them on all things the body and the feelings that we all have and deal with, and it's been really good. And it's doing it from a gospel perspective, which is really great.
Yeah. So our goal is to finish that this time.
We're going to finish it because we don't want to. We want to be done.
Yeah.
For now.
I think the biggest flop for this year was thinking we were going to teach our 7th and 5th graders Spanish.
And yeah,
we gave up.
And I talked about that in a prior video, but it's worth mentioning in this video. We gave up on it. We have some ideas for next year. So I'm not giving up on that. I'm giving up on the way we were doing it. We're going to try something different.
And I think that was probably good because your first year homeschooling, you're trying to get your feet under yourselves. Like, keep it basic. This is advice. Like, if you are going into your first year, don't add all the stuff. Like, I wouldn't even add science and history in the beginning. Like, keep it basic. Ooh, we didn't write about history.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I didn't love.
She didn't love the Good and Beautiful's history.
The now discontinued.
Yeah.
Good and the Beautiful history one. I took what I wanted from it. I feel like the full curriculum was more of like high school level, honestly, because it was like, do this and then do this and then read this. And I was like, I don't have an hour and a half for history. But we also started reading the Tuttle Twins books. We've talked about those, and we've loved those.
Loved it. Yeah. So, but we'll be looking for other curriculum. We know the Good and Beautiful is going to be coming out with a newer.
Yeah, they have a new history coming out, or maybe it's already out.
I don't know if it's out yet, but it's supposed to be coming out soon, and so I'm sure we'll be looking at other programs.
However, there were moments in history in those lessons that were really awesome, like learning about Joan of Arc. Even I was like, wow.
Somehow we missed those stories, or they weren't as impressionable.
Yeah, this is really cool. So I think they still got stuff from it, but we didn't make it through the whole book. Another thing we learned was kids eat all the time.
They're home. The food budget definitely is going up higher.
They eat all the time. I had to make a rule. I saw this on the Fun Cheaper Free lady on Instagram. We don't eat packages if we're home. I made that rule and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So if we're home, they can't grab like a granola bar. Packages, I mean, besides like a string cheese, they can have that. But we don't eat packages when we're home because that was getting really expensive. They'd go through like 3 granola bars a day, different bars. And I'm like, no, all these fruit leathers and we have fruit in the fridge. Anyway, they eat all the time. Lunches were also like kind of a drag because I was really hungry. And then it was like, oh, I still have to make lunch. So I would like to be better planning at lunches or keep them simpler, or, I mean, not that they were hard, but I need to be a better meal prepper and planner.
And she's already really good. If you know anything about her, she's really good at meal planning dinner. So now she just has to translate the same thing for snacks and lunches as well.
To be more lunch schedule. And also, let's see. Let's talk about,
I'll take this next one at least a little bit. Another learning, when we started this homeschooling journey, we wanted to make sure that we spent more time outside, do what we need to do at home or wherever we're at, and then get the kids outside more. I think we did okay at it. I think it could be better. We want to do that even more this next year. But some things that we did, getting outside, we had ski passes for everybody except you, because she doesn't like to go skiing as much. So we usually pay for her for the few times she goes.
Well, and our littlest was too little to go all the time. Too.
Oh yeah, he's ready to go now. But we skied pretty much all throughout the winter. I was trying every chance I could. And we still didn't get to some of the resorts.
Yeah, I thought we'd do a little bit more of that, I think.
So I still want to do more. And some of it was because November in Utah didn't have any snow. If you remember, if those who were in Utah, we didn't get a lot of snow until December. So it was like mid-December. And so there was a lot of wasted time that I normally would have liked to be skiing. But
yeah, we were pretty good at walks too. We could have been, for a while there, it was like every day after breakfast we'd go for a walk. And sometimes I would use a walk when everyone was like grumpy,
cranky,
or I was grumpy. I'd be like, let's go for a walk. And then everyone's better, even just after a 5-minute walk around the block.
Yeah.
We did go on a few bike rides too. And that was really fun, being able to bike like to the library or, but I still want to bike more. And we also did a few hikes, not as many as I would have.
Yeah, we thought we were going to do a lot more than we did. So,
but I think we got kind of tied down to the curriculum and feeling like a slave to the curriculum. And so I was like, no, we got to get it done. So we can't go on a hike. So I want to be a little more flexible next year. And we also did, like PE group and park meetups outside. And what I loved about the fall and the spring is the weather's so nice that we would do school out on the patio sometimes, and kids would take a book outside, and you're like sitting in the sun. It's so nice. What's next? Okay, so our summer schedule.
So that's last year. It's done.
Year 1 in the books.
It's in the books. Yep.
Everyone says year 1 is the hardest, and so
it's done.
It's done.
So your summer. What's the summer? How are you going to do the summer now? Since
we're gonna chill. They can wake up whenever they want. We do kind of late bedtimes in the summer most nights, just because it's so nice outside and it doesn't get dark, and so they can sleep in. And then most mornings we do breakfast together ish, and scripture study. Sometimes, very rarely, I'll throw like a little science lesson in there. We never talked about science either. Okay, Good and the Beautiful Science was awesome.
It was all good.
We loved everyone we did. Paleontology, health, and space. And I think it was this.
At least those 3.
Anyway.
I know we listed it in a prior video.
Yes. Okay. So back to summertime. We might throw in a little science lesson because we do have 2 lessons left in our health unit. And I also got a free like stargazing quick unit that might be fun for when we're camping. We can look at the stars. And anyway,
I'll take this one.
Okay.
So I had this harebrained idea. So I'm still not done with the IXL thing, which is why when she said that we're going to be done, I said, well, we're not done with it, but this is my
When it
thinking.
expires.
So in the summer, they all finished their Good and Beautiful math books. And so we're in the summertime. And I said, well, we've already paid for IXL. We have it until pretty much September. So I went into the next level in IXL and just said, okay, everybody needs to just do
Work
2
away.
IXL codes a day during the summer. So Monday through Friday, all of our kids, I know we've got them.
I think one of the kids' friends said, you have to do IXL in the summer.
I know, but
not...
here's what I'm hoping that we'll do. And I'm just thinking more about her. I'm thinking about the kids too, but I'm also thinking about her, that like, if we can just get them a little bit ahead, or at least introduced or started on some of those next math level topics now through IXL, and IXL really breaks things down to easy till eventually graduates into harder. It's just 2 codes a day. And that's, so far it's working. Like kids are remembering things.
And
so then when they start into their next level math course next year, and assuming we stop doing IXL, then they will have already seen a lot of this stuff and already been quizzed on it a lot during the summer. They won't forget math. They're still constantly doing a little bit every day.
We didn't want the summer slide because when you're the one that has to teach your kid,
you care.
You're like, they can't lose all that. They came so far. You don't want them to slide in the summer.
And that's so interesting. I didn't connect that until you just said that.
No, it's totally a different viewpoint, because when they were in public school, it was like, it's summer. Like,
the price you pay as a homeschooler to teach your kids things, only to let them forget it in the summer.
I don't want them to forget it.
So I'm not going to apologize for making them do IXL during the summer. I don't care what friends say.
Well, and it takes them what? Like 10 to maybe 30 minutes if they're being slow at it.
They're being slow, or they're on a harder topic. But it's only 2 codes a day. I think when I calculated it, they would complete maybe like 2/3 of the next grade level. If they do 2 codes a day between now and the end of summer, they'll be 2/3 the way through all of the IXL codes for the next year. And that will give you and them a really big boost when they get formally taught through the curriculum from the Good and the Beautiful. And so that's what I'm thinking, that I'm talking about out loud in front of the camera, but like, I think that might be a good thing to do with IXL next summer.
Yeah, just do it for the summer.
Just do it through the summertime.
Summertime thing.
And it's so good because we can just say, here's the app, or do it on the computer, and then they do it, and then they show us, and then they can go play with friends.
Yeah, and I have a whole ticket system this summer where they get tickets if they pass it off, and they get tickets for chores. They have to do their chores every day and read and play outside, and I will give them tickets, and then they use them to like buy fun things and date nights and really fun things. They've liked that. It's worked.
Yeah.
I do want them to read most days a week too, and then we're trying to get through Where the Red Fern Grows and audiobooks, and so we are reading too.
One thing I'll just note, that this sounds like we're doing a lot during the summer, that it's still like educational, and that doesn't sound like kids have a lot to do. Like we're not having summer vacation or anything like that. It is totally summer vacation around our house. They all went with me on a work trip last week to Idaho. We've got lots of other vacations and things planned. They didn't do it when we were in Boise. And so we've got,
and if we have a lot of stuff going on, we don't do it. It's just on days that we're home and we don't really have things planned, or they're in the afternoon, we'll just do it in the morning. So
I'm not worried about them having a summer. We want our kids to be kids. We want them to play outside. We need their help in the garden, and we want them to be out there. And there's a lot of that going on right now. So
and one thing I will say is, everyone says like after school ends, it takes a couple of weeks to get into like summer mode. And I thought, we won't have that problem because we homeschool. We're home all the time anyway. But I feel like it's still taking a couple weeks to get into summer mode, where they know what's expected of them. And like, I have to do these things on the list before I can go like have free time by myself.
Yeah.
And so like some days, a couple of our kids were like, I don't want to do that yet. I just want to play. And I'm like, that's fine. Go play with each other. But if you want to play with friends, you have to get these things done. And so then a friend will knock on the door at like 11 and they're like, crap, I can't play because I didn't
And
get it done.
they've learned that
But they have
hurry and
learned
get
it, and
stuff
it's
done.
awesome. So there is still a little bit of that transition time, I feel like, from homeschool to
I'm still doing
to
piano with
summer.
all of them. They all have to do piano every day
Yeah, that is another
still.
thing they have to do.
So they still have things they have to do in the morning, but we're just trying to keep that culture of learning throughout the year and not have it just completely drop off in the summer, like how we were and how we were before in public school. We want to continue it, but we definitely want to ratchet it back a lot so that that we can have these other fun summer activities and yeah. So that's our summer schedule. So and to wrap up this last year. So here's the final question. Will you homeschool next year? Are you going to homeschool next year?
Heck yeah.
Was it worth it? Was the pain worth it?
Yes, I saw some fruits of our labor towards the end. In the beginning, it was hard.
It was so hard.
We have seen benefits and positive things, and we like it. So we'll be doing it.
A big thing that we said in one of our first videos that we learned about homeschooling, an advantage of homeschooling, is turning your kids to be family and parent oriented instead of peer oriented. I feel like our kids are very family and parent oriented right now. I think in a lot of ways, I know my kids a lot better today than I did even last summer, because we've spent so much time with them and we have spent a lot of time learning things with them and learning how to learn and how to read each other. Yeah. And that's that peer orientation. That's in a book called Hold On. I think it's Hold On to Your Kids. Was it in that book? Yeah. By Gordon Neufeld or something like that. Listen to it. But... Hold On to Your Kids. It's a great book. So that's one. Anyway, there's that. We will probably do sometime an update again later on in the summer about what we're anticipating to do next year. So I anticipate our next video would drop probably in August sometime. Maybe September, who knows. So if we're going dark, it's because we're enjoying summer and we're trying to live it up with the kids and enjoy them while they're still young. We only have 18 years. We don't have all day long to make videos, but we are going to continue to make videos. But our next video will probably be what we are planning for the next school year. Yeah. And we hope to have that all ready to go when the next video drops. So
yeah. So happy summer.
Happy summer. And see you on the flip side of summer.
If you're considering homeschooling, just do it.
Do it. Take faith.
Do it.
I don't know why I'm whispering.
You can do it.
See ya.
Bye.